trade WCW.
What in the hell is he doing here? Monday Night Raw. Monday Nitro. He is broken.
Austin 316 says I just whipped your ass. The new world order, brother. Let's get this. We are at war.
All right, Nitro.
What the hell else?
Maybe. Sometimes you play songs. I don't know.
I have a song.
You want to play a song?
Nope, Nitro.
Okay.
Nitro number 138.
We're all going to suffer through this together.
It is still May 4th, 1998. Hey, Craig, what's May 4th?
Star Wars Day.
The announcer spent some time discussing the lineups of the various NWO factions, and I immediately didn't care. We are just starting this stupid angle. It's going on for 2 more years, and I'm going to not care about any of it.
Oh, and there's more factions coming, too.
Oh, there are. Eddie and Chavo Guerrero came out for a promo. Eddie said, I will show you by example, Chavo Guerrero, that we, the Guerreros, are winners, and that I am the best wrestler in WCW. He said, I want some serious competition, and he insulted Scott Norton and dared Norton to come out and fight. So out comes Scott Norton, who is perfectly willing to fight Eddie Guerrero, or any Guerrero, apparently. 5 seconds in, Eddie takes like 1 step to move forward for a lockup, screams, grabs his knee, rolls outside, and says, I can't go, Chavo, it's your fight.
I loved it because Chavo, I don't know if he really bought it or not, but he bought enough to get in the ring.
Yeah.
And by get in the ring, I mean Eddie grabbed his ass and threw him in the ring.
Yes.
And then he just decided to wrestle Scott Norton.
Who, by the way, fine with all this. Whichever.
He doesn't give a
I
shit.
was
He would have fought both of them.
I was going to beat your ass, now I'll beat your ass. That's fine.
And Chavo's significantly lighter, which Scott Norton herked him up with ease.
Yep.
Again and again and
I'm
again.
quite confident he would have herked up Eddie Guerrero with the same ease.
Exactly.
He was a big, strong man. Still is a big, strong man. So, the only reason Chavo got any offense is because Norton stopped to go after Eddie at one point. Chavo cut him off, kicked him in the knee a few times, and then Norton just grabbed him, hit a powerbomb, and a shoulder breaker for the win. He left. Ultimo Dragon came to tend to Chavo, and then nothing happened.
It was fun to see Eddie cut a fun promo, but like Chavo's completely unlikable. He's an idiot, and I don't know. It's just something happening.
It's supposed
That's
to
the
be,
story of Nitro.
It really is.
It's a bunch of stuff happening.
We've got time to fill. Go do something.
You're supposed to hate Eddie Guerrero, but you hate Chavo because he's such a moron.
Yeah, Eddie Guerrero's entertaining.
You like Eddie.
And his
Right.
nephew's an idiot.
Yes.
Because they're idiots.
Yeah.
Basically.
It is, in fact, WCW. Scott Putski versus Kidman.
Scott Putski.
Yep. He made the jump.
Well, may not have had a choice.
That's true.
We're not hiring. We are. Okay. So in like 2 minutes, the Wolfpack came out through the crowd, attacked Putski for the DQ, which caused Mike Tenay to say in this exact tone, "What a debut for Putski."
Yeah. Powerbomb, no mention of a fine.
Yeah, that storyline's dead. Just
Yeah.
forgotten.
I mean, it is until they decide to bring it back.
Reinstate it.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So the Wolfpack gets a promo. They hate Hogan. They hate Bischoff. They hate Sting. They hate Giant. They hate Bret.
Some wacky insider comment about Scott Hall.
Always, yeah.
It's so different watching it 19 years later. Because when I was watching it live, I knew everything that was going on with Scott Hall. Now, like, I have a cursory remembrance of what was going on, but I mostly try to watch it as a fan. And as a fan, it's like, he just hadn't been around.
Yes.
But there's a lot of guys that haven't been around. Guys are like there, then they're not there. Piper vanishes for months. Is he in rehab? I don't know. Scott Hall apparently is having some sort of problem. What about all these other geeks? They just come and go. Like, shit happens. What the fuck is Nash talking about as a casual television viewer? You're like, what is he talking about?
I think Kevin's words were, Scott Hall, too dangerous for live TV.
Yeah, Eric Bischoff thinks he's too dangerous for TV. And as a viewer, I'm like, what the fuck does that mean? Like he's going to show up with a gun? This show's stupid.
That wasn't even my most hated Kevin Nash insider comment of this promo. Here and throughout the show, he mentioned, I guess at some point, Sting had called him funny. And tonight he's going to show he's not funny, or show Sting what is funny, or something. I don't know. But Sting never talks. When did he call you funny? What are you talking about?
Texted him.
It was 1998.
Possible. It's possible there was an angle on a pay-per-view or Thunder that we didn't watch.
Maybe. It would have been nice if the announcers had clued me in then.
Well,
Maybe he saw him work and was giggling.
So they bring out Kurt Hennig and announce him as their newest member. He comes out in a black and white shirt. Brian Adams, who was rad.
Sure.
Brian Adams comes out to confront him.
no, he wasn't.
He was not really. Hennig won't listen, gets in the ring, peels off the black and white to show the black and red. Adams is pissed. He's on the floor yelling at them. Conan challenges Adams to a match, and I shrieked.
Oh, my God.
I do not want to see Conan wrestle Brian Adams.
Oh, my God. I don't want to see Brian Adams wrestle anybody.
Well, that's also true. And then Nash challenged Lex Luger to a match for the main event.
And you wonder why Raw is smashing the shit out of him now. Look at this show.
Not to mention the NBA Finals are on. This show was 2 hours because it was delayed. Last week, they had to break it up in 2 parts. This was the worst time for them to have their show delayed and or taken off TV for the week.
I would believe that excuse more if any of these 2 hours had actually been good.
That's fair.
I think everything except Goldberg has sucked. I may be missing something. Oh, there was the... what the hell? I forget.
Steiner.
Probably. Anyway. Had a Raven video package. Never got enough love from his parents. Never had any friends at school. And
It's totally Bray Wyatt.
it is?
Yeah.
It's also totally Raven. And part of me was like, this guy's been around for a year. Why are you showing this video now? And part of me is like, well, let's not
WCW.
let's not assume every fan has seen every show over the past year. It's not a bad idea to do little profile videos like this.
Or
every once in a while.
ECW for years before that.
Well, there's that too. Jericho came out for a promo. He had the picture of Dean Malenko, had the ring announcer hold it. Showed a video clip of Dean talking about his late father and what a privilege it was to be the great Malenko's son. And Jericho said, Dean, your father's rolling over in your grave because you're a lousy wrestler, your brother's a lousy wrestler. Nobody cares about you or your pathetic career. And then he introduced a man he dubbed Bore Us Malenko.
The man of one hold.
Out came a dweeb in Dean Malenko's gear.
He did have a one on his ass.
That was funny.
In parentheses.
Yep.
I laughed my ass off at the one on his ass.
And think about this, by the way. This guy had tights made.
Yeah. For his one Nitro show.
And
I'm sure they were made for him.
I'm going to assume Jericho did it.
not only did he have his own tights made, or somebody did, he in fact displayed his one hold.
Yes, he got...
Arm ringer.
The bell rang, he grabbed Jericho and ringed his arm.
Starts with an A.
And Jericho screamed, his hold!
Yep.
Then he cut him off, clowned around with him for a while, eventually beat him with a Boston Crab.
Oh my God, he lifts him up for a spine buster to set up the Boston Crab. This fucking guy landed right on his elbow.
Yeah.
Right on his elbow. Then he lion tamed him.
He did. The Nitro girls danced. Alex Wright interrupted until security took him away. The exact same thing.
So they're dancing. And Alex Wright hits the ring.
Yeah.
And he grabs a chair. Like he's going to do a chair dance. And his chair dance is his one move in front of the chair.
Yes.
Right.
Now, he only has one move. He's a man of one dance move.
Sure.
Like the man of one hold. So let me repeat one more time. Alex Wright gets in the ring. He turns the chair around. He does his one move, which is only done by Alex Wright. They cut to the announcers. I believe it was Tony Schiavone said, was that Alex Wright?
Yes. Well, he was in disguise. He was wearing a red shirt and yellow pants.
It was definitely Alex Wright.
I can confirm Brian is correct. Hugh Morris and the Barbarian versus Public Enemy.
Oh, this.
Why did they break up the Ming and Barbarian team?
Ming probably just refused to work with Public Enemy.
Why did we see this
Why?
last week?
Look at him.
Who cares? He's Ming.
Well, there's that.
Why did we see this last week? And it was so great, we had to bring it back for the next week.
Well, clearly, because it was so great.
Dude, the opening segment, or the opening spot, Johnny Grunge runs down and starts choking Hugh Morris with, I swear to God, a pool noodle.
Is that what that was?
Hey,
I...
if you tie it tight enough.
Yeah. So it was all garbage wrestling. Trash can lids to the head. Trash
was
cans
horrible.
to the head. It was fucking awful.
It was hideous.
The highlight, they got a trash can.
It's like they got Public Enemy, and they were like, go to a match and hit each other with shit.
Right.
That's what you do. And then the other guys who aren't hardcore wrestlers are going to beat you at your own gimmick.
Yes.
Then we
Again.
think you might get over.
Sure. So they've got a trash can in the ring, and Barbarian dumps Rocco into it head first. So he's
Yes.
essentially doing a handstand in the can with his feet kicking in the air.
He disposed of Johnny Grunge. Or
It was Rocco.
Rocco Rock.
Yeah. Shivani says, it looks like he's looking for change. Change? He's dumpster diving for change.
I didn't know.
How broke do you think Public Enemy is? How broke are you that this would even cross your mind? He's dumpster diving for a nickel, Craig. So let's see.
It was a
That's the
funny
least of
visual.
my problems.
Barbarian went through a table. Morris press slammed Rocco out of the ring through a table, which nearly killed him. Jimmy Hart accidentally hit Morris with a trash can. Grunge stripped Jimmy's shirt off, and we're supposed to be laughing at Jimmy's body. He has a better tan and a smaller belly than at least three of the men in the match.
And he's old.
And he's old. Grunge pinned him with a splash. This is absolutely terrible, god-awful wrestling. So much better than last week.
That's true.
It was so
I
much
guess.
better. Oh, yes.
That's because
Worlds better than last week.
only because Jimmy Hart was in there.
Gene Oakland interviewed Brian Adams, who had about 95 appearances on this 90-minute show.
Well, he's taking Hogan's spot because Hogan knew the rating would be down. So why would you show up?
I think the bigger issue is Raw's winning. We got to get a Raw guy all over this show. We just got Brian Adams. We just got, what's his name?
Crush.
Crush. He's not Chains.
No,
We went over this,
yes,
right?
we did.
We
Okay.
did.
Who cares?
Anyway, Adams talks about how great Hulk Hogan is, and he accepted Conan's challenge, this bastard. We had a video package dedicated to Booker T and Chris Benoit's mullet. Booker claimed Benoit had intentionally taken the ref out in their pay-per-view match and then used that as a distraction to put on the crossface.
Which was true.
Benoit rebutted, said, what happened to the ref is not my fault. I put you in the crossface and you tapped out. Booker said, I did not tap. I was just reaching for the ropes. And then he went on to get the pin at the pay-per-view, and they're doing a rematch at the pay-per-view, or so I thought.
This was the week where they decided, you know what's going to really help these house shows? Let's change the title on all these shows, but then pretend it never happened.
I see.
Oh,
Yes.
Yeah, there were 5 title changes this week. None of them acknowledged on television.
Huh.
So all those fans bought their money, thought they saw history, turned on Nitro, learned they were wrong.
Yep.
It never happened. Did wonders for attendance, among things.
Saturn versus Hammer. There were some horrible mid-card feuds on Nitro in 1998.
Can you imagine someone who doesn't watch wrestling tuning in right now and just hearing there's a match between Saturn and Hammer?
Yeah.
And a loser leads the flock match?
Yeah.
Yeah, with a speech by a guy named Kidman.
Yeah.
Hammer was the worst wrestler of the week.
Yeah. I like when they're doing this match. Well, first of all, Kidman does a speech. He announces his loser leaves the flock. He wishes Hammer good luck. It turns to Saturn and says, Raven says do whatever you have to do to win. Raven's running a tight ship here, clearly. So they're doing this match, and it's not very good.
I mean, it was clear from the pre-match and the post-match that Raven wanted Saturn to win.
Yes.
Sure.
Which begs the question, why didn't you just kick Hammer out of the flock?
I don't know.
Why the fuck did you do this match
I
where
don't know.
there is a chance, as we learned here, that he could lose?
Yes. Poor planning by the genius Raven.
Yeah.
Well, he didn't have any friends.
Apparently not. So, Saturn started his comeback with a superplex, and by that I mean Hammer superplexed him.
Yeah.
Hammer hit a superplex, and Saturn just pops up and starts throwing punches. Makes his hits a leg drop, does some stuff off a chair. Ref gets bumped.
Killed him with that leg drop. Sat
He
right
got
on his
so
head.
high.
Oh my God,
And
he
did-
sat right on his head.
Yes.
Come down right on his head, too.
Dude.
So the ref got bumped. Canyon, disguised as a soda vendor, gets in the ring. He's got a tray full of beverages. He drops the tray on Saturn's head. Now the ring's covered in beer
And ice.
and ice. He grabs a chair, hits Hammer in the back. Hammer falls on top. Canyon leaves. The ref revives. He counts 3. Saturn is out of the flock.
Yep.
Right.
Now, can Raven just say, I'm taking you back in?
He could, I'm sure
Are
he could,
there rules?
He could do whatever he wants.
Is
Well,
that-
yeah, there's Raven's rules.
I guess so.
We'll find out what they are as we get
I'll
going.
let you
but-
back in the nest, brother.
Have you noticed, by the way, if you go to a WWE show, even a house show, if anything happens to the canvas, it is immediately replaced.
Yes.
Whether
Yeah.
it's television, pay-per-view, house show, it doesn't matter. These fuckers do a spot where this dude runs in, canyon, with a big platform, basically, full of pop, soda, water, whatever, hits a guy, it fucking goes flying everywhere.
Great visual.
The ring canvas is soaked. They just leave it wet. Mm-hmm. Dudes in the next match are slipping all over the place, practically killing themselves. Mind-blowing. I mean, it's not, but it is.
So Hammer wins. They cut backstage where Raven has been watching. He is pissed. He leaves his feet to leave the locker room and presumably go kick somebody's ass. But a heavily armed DDP is there to cut him off. Page destroys the flock with all his weapons.
Heavily armed, meaning he had a giant stop sign,
And a
not
ball
like
rope.
an AK-47.
Well, he had a rope, too.
And a rope, a cowbell.
Cowbell.
2 cowbells.
I guess so. So he drags Raven down to the ring. They have a brawl, and eventually Page hangs Raven over the ropes, and security hits the ring to save Raven's life.
It was pretty awesome when Paige put the cowbell on Raven's head and then punched the cowbell so it rang when he hit him. That was funny.
Juventud Guerrera versus Sick Boy.
Oh, my God.
Okay, where to begin?
I'll tell you where to begin. Who booked this?
The same company that buries Hoovy every week in an attempt to get him over.
Let's take a guy.
You watch it and you think he's being punished.
Let's take a guy who can have a great match or a horrible match, usually depending on his opponent, and put him in with a guy who never has a good match.
Yes.
And let's see what happens. Well, what happens was they fucked a bunch of shit up.
They were blaming it on the beer in the ring.
That may have been part of it.
Wouldn't have helped.
It wasn't all of it.
It didn't help. It was not all of it. So, yeah, they were fucking stuff up left and right. Included by they, I mean the production crew as well, because Hoovy's music starts and you see him like take one step out on stage to do his little headbanging pose when he comes out. But then the camera cuts to ringside for a close-up of another cameraman's ass. Nitro, everyone. They have this match. It's all very sloppy, except, let's be fair, Sick Boy grabbed Hoovy at one point, threw him across his shoulders, and hit an F5 better than almost anything Brock Lesnar has ever done.
Send him into the stratosphere.
The only one Brock Lesnar ever did better than this was to Shannon Moore, where Brock threw him so high that he dropped his arms, watched Saturn continue to go up, and then dropped with him as Shannon fell to earth, even though they were by this point like 8 feet apart. That was better. But that was the only one. Everything else sucked. So they're going through this. Heenan outright says, "This ring is very dangerous. We are going to see a lot of injuries tonight." That's awesome. And then, remember we said they think they're trying to get Hoovy over? He never surrenders.
Right.
He's always a fighter. Horace attacks for the DQ.
Oh, yeah.
Juventud Guerrera, they're trying to get him over. They couldn't let him pin Sick Boy.
No. He doesn't win. He just doesn't give up.
So the flock attacks. They lay Hoovy out. And then, what's the best thing on Nitro every week? Goldberg's the best thing on Nitro every week.
That's right.
Goldberg comes charging out. Place explodes. So Reese, by now, he has hit his tree slam on Hoovy right next to the ropes and stayed down on all fours. And he has done this because Goldberg hits the ring, jumps in the apron, vaults over the ropes, over Reese, lands on his feet, spears Sick Boy, and he turns around and there's Reese, who is legit 7 feet tall or more, 400-some pounds. And Goldberg looks at him, grabs him, hits the easiest jackhammer you ever saw in your life.
Held the dude up there.
Oh, yeah. He could have done a minute, I'm sure.
It was great. And by the way, I want to add something. In the Sick Boy match, Sick Boy did in fact do a standing delayed vertical suplex.
Yeah.
Got to give the guy credit. That was cool. Now, granted, that was holding Hoovy. Goldberg did this with Reese.
More impressive.
Way more impressive.
You know,
Reese is the size of 10 Hoovies.
You know,
Yeah.
Goldberg hit this jackhammer on Reese last week. You do realize that, right?
No,
I'd forgotten.
Yeah.
I remembered this one. This
I'll
one.
maybe he'll do it again next week and I'll forget again.
I seem to
Sure.
recall last week it was like he went up and down. This one he went up and then down.
Maybe that's why he did it again.
Yeah.
Maybe he thought, you know
He
what?
was like, I can hold this guy.
Once I got that guy up there, I can do a lot better. So Goldberg's the best thing in the world. It sucks to be Hoovy. Gene brings out Rick Steiner for a promo.
Oh, this.
Okay, so Rick tore his rotator cuff. They're getting rid of Rick. So in order to do so, they bring out Scott Steiner, who's on crutches, and about 25 beers, I think. I could barely understand a word this guy said. He slurred his way through some speech. He's all sad. He's trying to cry.
He did.
He cried.
I'm crying. He just wants to be with his brother again.
His parents aren't talking to him.
His
His sister's kids aren't talking to him.
He doesn't care one bit about Hulk Hogan,
Yeah.
even though he's there in his NWO shirt.
Right.
Bagwell's gone. He just can't handle this no more. He just wants to be back with his brother again. His dumb shit brother buys it and gets his ass beaten.
Yeah. They hug. Scott turns Rick around so his back to the entranceway. Brian Adams makes his 400th appearance in the show. Comes out with a bat, attacks Rick with it. Scotty stands straight up, waves his crutches in the air, and screams at Adams to hurt Rick. He hurt Bagwell, he says. And they hurriedly went to a break.
You know, the other thing is, I am a big fan of Gene Okerlund. I defend Gene against a lot of things here in the 90s, but the Gene Okerlund character, or if he did this on his own, like, it's all his fault this happened.
Rick was skeptical.
Rick was absolutely
Why
skeptical.
should I believe you, he
and
said.
Gene's like, it's your brother. If you can't trust your brother, who can you trust? Look at him. He's crying. Gene's like cutting the promo for Scott, which actually maybe Gene thought, nobody can understand a word this bumbling marble mouth is saying right now, so I'm going to cut the promo for him. I'm going to try and make this whole thing make sense. And he tried to save it. But in doing so, like, he totally was the guy responsible for all of this. Rick Steiner, when he comes back, should target Gene.
I bet he wins.
Gene was like Scott's manager here.
Basically, yes. Conan versus Brian Adams. Thankfully, it was very short. Brett runs out and attacks Conan. Adams hits a press slam and a backbreaker. He makes a cover. Kevin Nash snuck into the ring. And when I say snuck into the ring, I had to watch this like 3 times to figure out where he came from. Because he was legit like on the steps, ducking down, hiding behind Adams. And from the camera they used, I couldn't see him. So he gets in the ring, and Adams is making a cover, and Nash stomped him so fucking hard in the head.
It was probably a receipt for the pile driver that Brian Adams threw on Conan.
Maybe?
That looked horrible.
All of his pile drivers look horrible.
Well, this one
I have
looked
never
horrible, and Conan looked like he got hurt.
I have never seen a good Brian Adams pile driver. And if anyone has one, I'd love to see it.
So he stomped him really fucking hard in the head. Power bombed him for good measure. Also no fine.
No fine, no mention.
Yeah. Nitro girls danced in some very tight pants and fancy bras. Almost as hot as the dudette.
Let's not get crazy.
So we've had Nitro party clips from college parties and high school parties and house parties. I believe this is our first Nitro party from a church.
That's correct.
Hey, you know they ain't watching Raw.
Hell no. Or if they are, they'll better start praying for everyone. So we had quote-unquote Nitro girls, which was 10-year-old girls who were not dancing. And one guy said, we're going to eat a lot of food.
Sounds like a hell of a party.
That was that.
We're going to eat a lot of food while we watch Nitro. Well, it's 3 fucking hours, so you sure are.
I guess so.
Maybe not this one.
Fit Finley versus Booker T.
This was good.
I love watching Fit Finley wrestle.
Yeah.
It brings me such joy. He just watching him push a guy to the corner and punch him in the ribs. Nothing fancy. It's just awesome.
Just looks good.
It looks great.
I realize they've never really done anything
Most
with Finlay.
fights don't look as good. Most
No.
real fights don't look as good as Finley's pretend fights.
Finley's very, very good. I realize they've never done, like, a lot with the guy, but they go in there, they have a good match, 4 whopping minutes. Finlay tombstones him and beats him.
Well, it was a Benoit distraction, but yes.
That was weird.
But the announcers are like, this is one of the biggest upsets in the history of Monday Nitro. And I'm like, when you think of all of the stupid title changes and finishes, this Fit Finley winning the fucking title is the TV title. Did we forget Prince Iakea? Or
We did,
9 million
right.
other goofy finishes?
Matter of fact, we did.
So that's shocking, wasn't
Goldberg over Hugh Morris?
it? And man, Benoit, Booker T, and Fit Finley all fighting for this title. I'll take it.
That's true. That's true. Main event, Kevin Nash and Lex Luger. It went like 3 minutes, and the Wolfpack interfered for the DQ as Nash was winning.
Yeah.
Yeah, that was the best part. Nash is beating the hell out of the guy, and then the Wolfpack just came in, and there was a DQ.
What's the point of this?
I was like, you couldn't give the guy like a second of offense before they hit the ring? Nash is winning, and they got in there.
Luger literally got no offense.
Yeah.
And then, I'm not even blaming Tony Schiavone because, these are the things that he needs to say, I'm sure, but he's celebrating that the Wolfpack is like the old NWO that would do gang beatings and DQs at the end of every match.
I don't know.
I was like, are you kidding me? Like,
as a fan, that's not good news.
it's 98.
As a WCW guy, it's not good news.
They debuted in 1996.
Yeah, almost 2 years ago.
Yeah. They're still doing the same shit, and they're acting like this is awesome. 2 years!
So, just as they're about to leave, Brian Adams makes his 643rd appearance on the show, and Bret Hart runs out there to stop him from doing anything, and they laugh.
Yeah.
Raw was so much better this week.
Oh my God, the tide has turned. At least for 1 week.
For 1 week. Things can change.
The other thing about Raw I didn't mention was it was taped. Oh. That's why the dudette was back. They just stayed backstage.
Well, they should tape every week then.
Yeah, they did both. Well, no, they did both tapings, you
Well,
jackass.
they should tape a year's worth of shows in this one day.
Point of this is there was a lot of editing of that Raw show. Like if you watch all of the interviews, even the Vince McMahon interview, there was like a very, very weird cut.
Yeah.
And whatever he said, Foley had this big old smile about it. So I can only imagine what got cut by Vince McMahon. But yeah, Raw destroyed Nitro in the ratings and in show quality this week. And we'll see what happens next week.
Yes, they do, but they're better.
I'm sure they are.
All right, well, with that disappointment out of the way, let's go to Nitro.
Fail.
One after another. I should have got you guys drunk first.
Nitro 139, May 11th, 1998. The Superior Show this week,
Oh, yeah.
as we shall find.
Oh no. By the way, someone I think mentioned this on the board. Like the first part of the show was absolutely hideous video quality. I think someone said they took the YouTube version because maybe the master tape was missing the first quarter of the show. I noticed it immediately. It was absolutely terrible. And then it got better.
Mean Gene called Bret Hart out for a promo. He said, this Sunday on pay-per-view, Slamboree, I believe, it will be Bret Hart versus Randy Savage for the first time ever. Bullshit. I was at a Saturday night's main event. It was on TV. Bret Hart versus Randy Savage. It led to the formation of the Mega Powers. It was kind of a big deal. So Bret runs down Savage for a while.
Called him a big chicken.
He did say Savage was a chicken who had fled to WCW to avoid Bret, but now Bret's there too. And he's going to prove he's as great as he said he was.
I like this promo. I thought this was a good promo, everybody. Because this show was better.
Wait a second.
We're just getting going.
Have you already forgotten your stance?
Oh, this show was horrible.
Have you been drinking?
I forgot my argument.
You did.
We'll get going here. Actually, I'll tell you what the problem really was. The problem was when this show started, I was certain that Nitro was the worst show. But you did such a goddamn good job convincing me that Raw was worse.
Oh, no. I did nothing. I just let Raw be Raw.
Going into it here, I'm thinking that you may be right. But the more I remember Nitro, it's like, it's impossible. I think at worst, it's a wash. But this was a good promo, I won't lie.
Barry Horowitz versus Disco Inferno.
Good match.
We can add Barry
Not looking
Horowitz
good for me here.
to the list of wrestlers who did a skull-crushing finale better than Miz.
Yeah,
Which I think is everyone else I see do it.
Well, the difference is, for him, it was just a move.
Yeah.
He just did a move
Yeah.
and moved on. At least everyone else used it for a finish.
Well, for Barry, it's a move. For Miz, it's a struggle. And he usually fails.
Horowitz reminded me of Ty Dillinger.
Actually, yeah.
Yeah.
Totally. I think about it. They had a fun 2-minute match, and Miz... Oh, also Barry Horowitz, by the way. He did the reverse facelock backbreaker that became one of Christian's signature moves.
Yep.
Here, before Christian's even debuted. Disco won in 2 minutes with a swinging neck breaker.
Hey, did you guys notice that Disco worked a perfectly straight match?
It's true.
Good wrestling, good match. Just want to throw that out there. No comedy.
It was
Like he
great.
does every week.
Had a fun 2-minute match.
And he keeps having to change his finisher. This week it's the neck breaker.
That's true. Randy Savage came out for a promo.
Also a good promo.
From the point his music started, first it took him more than a minute just to show up on stage. Then it took him another minute after that to get to the ring. 2.5 minutes went by where we were just listening to the theme song, and then the theme song ended. It ran out, and he still wasn't ready to talk yet.
See? Horrible show. What'd I tell you?
Well, it was a bad show. So Savage runs down Brett, challenges Hulk Hogan, calls him, quote, a bald-headed reject from the glue factory prima donna. Said Hogan liked to dangle carrots out there, so he's going to take that carrot and turn it into a cactus and shove it up his ass. What?
I don't know. All I know is that I was looking forward to Brett versus Randy at Slamboree. That sounded like a good match. Mm-hmm. But I got to tell you something. Randy Savage came out here in 1998 and challenged Hulk Hogan for the main event.
Oh, yeah.
I was over it already. I don't need to see these guys wrestling each other again. I'm sick of it. This is where I started to turn on the show. I was like, that's your main event. You're in the middle of a wrestling war and you're doing this match again. Who could possibly care?
Kidman versus Juventud Guerrera.
Good match.
So you know how you can't powerbomb Kidman because he will always turn into a facebuster and hit you with it?
Right.
It turns out it goes both ways. And when Kidman tries to powerbomb you, you will also turn into a facebuster. Now, the funny thing is, when you turn into a facebuster and you drop him on his face, somehow it still hurts you, and he pops up and he's totally fine. I had to rewind and watch this like 3 times to make sure I grasped what really happened. But yes, Kidman tried to powerbomb, Hoovy turned into a facebuster, Hoovy sold the facebuster that he hit, and Kidman, who took the facebuster, popped right up.
You know what's amazing is Kidman works as an agent for WWE. No one has been given that spot. That was his trademark.
That's true.
You would think he would pass it on to the new generation in WWE. Wrong.
Saving it for his comeback.
You know he may be.
So Kidman kicked out of a Michinoku driver. He held on to the ref so Reese could come in and plant Hoovy with a tree slam. And Kidman hit a shooting star press for the win.
Hoovy just spiked him with this Michinoku driver. It was brutal.
Let's talk about the big issue here. Reese. Why do they always give these big stiffs this stupid tree slam?
It's easy to do. You can't screw it up. I'm just saying. That's why they give it to him.
Ryan just looked at Craig the way a small man who takes choke slams looks at a big man who screws up
Do you
choke
know
slams.
how hard it is to take this fucking bump? No one ever puts you down right. You always land on your ass or you land on your head. The big guys can never drop the little guys right on this move. Yeah, it's really fun if you're the big guy, you lift the guy up and you just fucking throw him. But you can't take your own bump on this move. Poor Hoovy just fucking, he hits his ass, and then he hits his head. He's practically dead. And then Reese carries him away, probably legitimately to a medical facility. I hate this move.
What I was saying is you give somebody that move because there's nothing to it. You pick a man up by the throat and you drop them.
Yeah, my point is there is something to it.
I
It's like you've
understand
got to
that.
protect your opponent, and it always gets fucked up. I hate this move. This move sucks. You hear me?
Yes, I do.
So the match itself was like the highlight reel of a really good match. And then, yes, Reese carried Hoovy in his arms while Kidman was on his back and carried both of them to the back. Because if nothing else, he's huge. Also, looking at him here, I realized a satchel ass. Eric Bischoff comes out in a motorcycle.
There's no way that you can tell me that this was the better show with this absolute horse shit on it.
Did you notice the music, by the way? I don't know if anybody in our listening audience listens to the Mark Maron podcast.
Was it the same song?
It's the exact same song.
It was the Eric Bischoff song.
All I know is he comes out and Tony Schiavone, absolutely deadpan, just says, must be jerk on a bike week. Fucking, I howled. He fucking gets on the mic, and first he's wasting his time replying to Sean Waltman. Then he says, you know, Vince, we've got this little pay-per-view coming up this Sunday. Right there in your backyard. And you know what? I'm going to be there. And if you show up, I challenge you to a fight.
I'm with you.
So if you don't know the story of this,
Oh, the story makes it great.
this led to a lawsuit
Shocking.
because the WWE side claimed WCW is promoting a pay-per-view based around a Vince McMahon fight that's not going to happen.
Mm-hmm.
They filed this lawsuit. This is the best part of the story. They filed this lawsuit, and Bischoff responds by immediately going on TV and saying, it's not going to happen, okay? There is not going to be a match. Vince McMahon is not going to show up. If you're planning to buy the pay-per-view to see this fight, don't, because it's not going to happen. Jerry McDevitt then claims, well, it's wrestling. And when you say something's not going to happen, that means it is. That was his argument. This was fucking in court forever.
In court. This actually happened.
This dude, I mean, Bischoff, he's all weird. He's all nervous. He's cutting this stupid promo, challenging Vince McMahon to a fight on one of his pay-per-views. This guy lost his mind. That's what this was. This guy temporarily lost his mind. This was the stupidest segment I've ever seen.
It was dumb. It was dumb.
And then they replayed it like 4 times.
I thought it was cool. See, it's all so stupid because the real life guy in charge on both shows is a heel on TV.
Right.
But I guess they thought he would be their fans' heel, so they would cheer him against the other guy. I don't know.
I'm sure it was cool for fans to see like Eric Bischoff and WCW and WWF shooting on each other, but it was so stupid. Eric was so gotten to here.
Yes.
You
yes. he
came
really
out
was.
and challenged Vince McMahon to a fight.
And you know what?
And then on the other channel, these shitheads are going to CNN headquarters, walking around the mall, taking fucking selfies.
The more I think about it, as lame as the DX stuff came off, they got to Eric.
They did.
accomplished their mission.
Yeah, he went on and said, "You knew I wouldn't be in the office, DX."
God, this was just so lame.
He was trolled.
Yeah, he was.
Do you know how lucky we are there was no Twitter during the Monday Night Wars?
I disagree.
Oh,
for this very
God.
reason. Can you imagine Vince and Eric tweeting each other head to head?
That would've been
Well, the thing
awesome.
was, Vince wouldn't
Missed
tweet.
out.
Eric would be tweeting. It'd be a one-sided tweet war. And then a bunch of geeks in WWF would be responding for Vince. God, this was lame.
This
was
where
so painfully lame.
this is where the show started to get really dull.
Alex Wright interrupted the Nitro girls and got taken away. Yuji Nagata versus Scott Norton. Yuji got this monster over for a belly to belly. It didn't matter. Norton won with a shoulder breaker in about 2 minutes.
Yep.
Then the announcers talked for several minutes. In hindsight, I bet the announcers talked here for longer than that last match went. Or the next match.
Right.
Hugh Morris beat Jim Powers in 30 seconds with a power slam and a moonsault.
Yep.
Man, what a great show.
They were about to go to break when the Wolfpack is shown coming through the crowd. By which I mean it was just Kevin Nash and Conan.
Oh, God. Kevin Nash comes out. He makes this stupid Viagra joke. He challenges Hulk Hogan.
What he said was, he said Hogan's and Bischoff's chests are getting pumped up because they're taking Viagra. Then they're taking it wrong.
Then he said, you guys need to take more Viagra if you're going to handle me and Conan.
What does that even mean?
I don't have any idea.
I'm glad I didn't watch this pay-per-view.
All I know is this guy came out and he goes, I'm going to make this quick.
And then he didn't.
And then
He got cut
just
off.
Rambled and rambled and rambled and rambled. You know, I will give the guy credit for one thing. It's like a skinny guy that surrounds himself with fat guys. So he looks skinnier. Don't look at each other like that. Kevin Nash
Let's eat him.
surrounded himself with Scott Hall and Conan.
Right.
Two guys who actually were very cool, so that he would maybe appear a little more cool than he actually was. He's out here trying so hard to be cool. I have no idea what the fuck he's talking about. I have no idea what his point is. Anything he's saying right here. And he rambled on and on and on and on, and finally got the hook.
Yeah, they cut him off with the music,
Yeah.
which he said into the mic. They're playing my song. I'm getting cut off. He said he wanted Hogan to admit Nash was bigger, younger, stronger, and sexier. Then he said he looked like Godzilla. Now, I love Godzilla, but I don't know how a guy who says he's sexy can also say he looks like Godzilla. That doesn't make sense to me.
He went on to say that, Hogan doesn't know what cool is. He doesn't listen to the hip hop.
He's not listening to Mac 10 is what he
Mac
said.
10, yeah. He doesn't say too sweet correctly.
Or for life.
Stupid.
This segment was so stupid. Do you hear me?
Ultimo Dragon versus Johnny Swinger.
Fucked up a top rope Frankenstein. You know how hard that is?
Well, for the first 2 minutes of Swinger's Nitro debut, I thought it looked good. Then Chavo came out, and then I wrote Dragon hit the worst top rope run of his life, and then hooked the Dragon Sleeper for the win. So Chavo congratulates Dragon. Eddie comes out, separates them, shoves Chavo. Chavo shoves Eddie down. Eddie is on his knees, offers Chavo a free shot, but Dragon jumps him from behind, puts him in the Dragon Sleeper, but Chavo breaks that up, and finally they all just leave.
Great show, Vinny.
Hey,
Great show here.
this is better than Raw.
No.
It sucked. It was better than Raw. You want to go watch the Hawk match again?
Do you want to listen to this Dusty Rhodes promo again?
I have no idea what on earth Dusty Rhodes is talking
Did
about here.
anybody remember that this guy was in the NWO? Dusty Rhodes randomly
I'm not sure
shows
he
up.
did based on what he said.
He was wearing a button-up shirt with no collar. Okay? One of those gimmicks. And the top button was buttoned, but his head is really large. It looked like his head was going to pop.
This guy starts talking about the Wolf Pack.
Yeah.
Like they're a bunch of dogs.
The wolf pack.
The Wolf Pack.
If you will, baby.
Talking about Hogan. Like, if you just tuned into this Nitro for the first time, you'd be sure that Hogan's a babyface. Everybody's talking about him.
Yeah.
They're all challenging him. He's not there.
Right.
Going on and on and on. Then he's talking about how we all know Scott Hall's got personal problems. I'm like, we do? Because as
do
a
now.
television viewer, I don't know what the fuck's going on with Scott Hall. He's just never on TV. Now he apparently has personal problems. What's going on here?
The Dream just exposed Scott Hall.
He guarantees that he's going to be at the pay-per-view. And all I could think was, you know what a big problem in pro wrestling is? It's when you work for a company and you fly to a new town, you write a script, you have everybody go out there and do it, you're backstage, and then you go to the next town, you do it all again, and you never watch your own show. I watch this show every week as a fan. I have no idea what's going on. I wrote a book about it. I have no idea what's going on. They just do a bunch of shit. They presume that we know everything. But if you're watching the show, you don't know anything. What was this?
So he's talking about Nash getting in Hogan's ugly face. So I think, okay, he's with the Wolfpack. He buries them for firing 6. He takes credit for Scott Hall getting a job and being the coolest dude on the planet. Defends Scott Hall's personal problems. Then he says Randy Savage needs to stop bitching. So the guy who we forgot is in the NWO is doing a very poor job of sticking up for the NWO. And then he eventually repeated everything and he left. I have no idea what the hell he was talking about. Goldberg versus Len Denton.
I couldn't believe it.
Mike Tenay was sure to note that Len Denton was quite an accomplished grappler.
He was an accomplished grappler.
They don't
Do
get
you know
no-
he once pinned me with a loaded boot?
They don't get no more accomplished when it comes to grappling than Len Denton.
Yep. He didn't load his boot here.
No, he hit one jawbreaker and then he got punched and speared and jackhammered and pinned.
Do you know that this week I saw Len Denton at Cauliflower Alley?
Oh yeah, how's he doing?
You're doing great. I wish I would have seen this match first because I would have told him if you'd only have loaded the boot,
Right.
you could have changed history.
He could have ended the streak.
You should have known to load the boot before the match. Sad.
Bring it up next year.
I will.
Mean Gene brings J.J. Dillon and Raven out for a promo.
Oh, God. JJ's all over this show.
Dillon talks about the fan who's been attacking Raven repeatedly, including on MTV. Says he does not like Raven, but Raven and his attorneys have a point when they say they have put him in an unsafe working environment and a possible breach of contract. Raven confirms this. So Dillon says WCW will be paying for 4 riot control officers to protect Raven. Gene is appalled by this. How dare we protect our asset rather than force him to fight on his own?
You know, when we were starting to do these retro reviews and we just praised Gene Okerlund to high heaven, all these people are like, no, Gene sucked. He just absolutely sucked. And it's like, no, he was great. No, he sucked. Now I'm figuring it out. They're remembering near the end of the war. At the beginning of the war, Gene was great. But you know what? Gene is grating on me on these segments now in 98. He don't care, clearly.
I think Gene's out there to get Gene over.
Someone needs to attack Gene, and you think twice about being upset about these
Yeah.
security guys.
So Raven calls out the flock. He declares he's going to find out who the attacker is and get his revenge. Then he announces he will face DDP one more time in a Bowery death match.
Which sounded like Punjabi prison with metal instead of wood.
Kinda.
There's a cage inside a cage.
There's a cage with a roof on it,
Yep.
and it's a last man standing match inside this cage with a roof. Then he says there has been strife between Saturn and Hammer, and Saturn had lost the fight. They call out Saturn to defend himself. So Saturn comes out, but before he can say anything, Kidman congratulates Hammer on his win, but says it was a loser leaves the flock match, and you are the biggest loser here. And they all kick his ass.
So exactly like I asked last week. If you don't want Hammer there, why didn't you just fire him? Why'd you do this stupid match?
I don't know.
Yeah.
Raven declares Saturn is his enforcer and will stay by his side.
And then it got confusing.
Well, I'll say it did. Jerry Lynn runs out and attacks
This
Saturn.
show is so stupid. This show sucks.
Jerry Flynn. I must correct myself.
Not Lynn, no.
No, I don't know if that would have mattered.
See, they were going to do a Jerry Flynn match, but I don't know if they were short on time or what, but they sent this idiot out in the middle of an angle.
Yeah.
Yeah,
He jumps in the
Jerry
ring
Flynn
with the flock all around
starts
him.
beating up Saturn with Raven around him, with the flock around him, with 4 riot security guys all around him who let him go in there and attack Saturn and stand back.
They're there to protect Raven, not
I
Saturn.
guess.
And the funny thing, this isn't the worst thing that Saturn was involved with tonight.
So Saturn faces Jerry Flynn. It lasted officially just long enough for Larry Zbyszko, just like us, to say, I'm totally confused.
This promotion sucks.
Saturn
This
got the
show
win.
sucked.
Saturn got the win with the DVD. I went back and checked. I think the longest match in the show had been 5 minutes, and everything else was 2 minutes or less.
This
Listen,
show
this-
sucked.
Don't get me wrong. The show was shit. This was a terrible show as well. Fit Finley versus Rage.
This
Fit
was
Finley
okay.
versus me watching the show, I guess. Thank God for Fit Finley.
Yeah.
Watching him beat these muscle heads up. Oh, it's great. So they go to cheat. Booker T runs out and attacks Chaos. Finley pins Rage with a tombstone. Benoit runs out and attacks Booker. Dylan is there. He declares he is sick of Booker and Benoit interfering in matches and books them against each other tonight, and there must be a winner.
Winner gets Finlay at Slamboree.
And winner gets Finley.
That made me happy, at least.
Nitro Party clips from a YMCA in Tennessee. The highlight was the young man doing Alex Wright to dance. Lenny Lane versus DDP. Paige deserves to be in the Hall of Fame just for having a good match with Lenny Lane.
That's true.
I didn't think it was possible. They went back and forth the whole time. Paige set him on the top rope and then brought him down with a diamond cutter for the win.
My favorite part is after the match. Raven comes out on the ramp after DDP challenges him. and
I
he's-
must cut you off there. What DDP said was, Raven, I'm going to bang you.
He did.
That's a quote.
At Slamboree.
That's Lamboree.
Raven came out. He thought about it.
Looking to get banged, I guess.
He looked in the ring. He's got his 4 right patrol guys or whatever.
The big Daft Punk helmets on.
Yep. And he looks at the ring and he decides, nope, not going to do it. He turns around, he starts leaving. The first right squad guy turns. The second right squad guy turns. The third right squad guy turns. The fourth guy is daydreaming. He's looking around. Look at all these fucking people here.
Frank!
I can't believe it.
Frank!
And all of a
we gotta
sudden,
go.
he goes, shit, turns around, follows him to the back. This show sucks.
The NWO Black and White came out for a promo. It's Hulk Hogan, Bischoff, Vincent, the Disciple, and Crush.
Oh,
Yeah, what a crew.
This is what Hogan is left with now. Remember how cool the NWO was when they started?
no, I have no memory of it now.
So Hogan plugs his shitty movies. He's
The Three Ninjas.
Three Ninjas and Devil's Island, whatever it was. So Hall and Nash have been trying to ride his coattails to the top. He accepts Randy Savage's challenge and then vows in 5 hours I'm going to be back in the movie set in Vancouver. He made fun of Nash's gray hair and skinny legs. Always great when you have a guy trying to get cheered and point out his actual flaws.
These guys on the mic burying each other was so... It was the worst TV imaginable. Just the worst.
I laughed.
It was so stupid.
It was a horrible way to build a wrestling match or a heat in a program, but it made me laugh when Nash comes out. Let's see. He makes fun of Hogan's sunglasses. Hogan makes fun of Nash's thong. Nash asks, "Why are you checking me out?" Hogan is caught totally off guard, and all he can come up with is, "You're just too sweet."
Yeah.
To which Nash must take a step back and admit, "I am sexy." I laughed. I don't feel bad about it. I laughed at that.
Stupid. This show absolutely sucks.
So they get back on track. Hogan demands Nash apologize for wearing black and red. Apologize. Okay. It wasn't good. I can't even get through it anymore. He apologized. He wants Nash to apologize for confusing Conan and Kurt Hennig. Nash steps forward. Hogan steps back and pulls Vincent and Crush in front of him. Nash refuses to apologize, so he's going to go through these stooges to get to Hogan. Nash says, "I brought a big gun to this gunfight." And out comes the Giant,
Oh my
who
God.
is back in the NWO.
Oh my God. When he came out, I was so done with this show.
When we started this retro review crap, why did we not keep there should be a tally on the wall of Giant turns.
Well, we know there's been 34 in his career, so this had to be at least the 8th one.
He started out in the Dungeon of Doom.
Yes.
He was, we're down here. He was
You'll
in the Dungeon
never
of Doom.
remember, dude.
He was feuding with the Horsemen. He was feuding with the NWO. He joined the NWO. He left the NWO. Now he has joined them again. It's been 3 years.
That's 6.
Sucks. This sucks.
That's 6?
Vinny, this show sucks.
So they lay out Nash. They're about to, did they? I think
They spray painted
They
him.
spray painted him.
Yep.
They're about to chokeslam him to death when out runs like Conan, Dusty, and Savage, and they back off. The Giant is afraid of Randy Savage, Dusty Rhodes, and Conan.
Yep.
I didn't buy that. I did not buy that.
I didn't buy anything on this whole show. This show was terrible.
Mean Gene brings Chris Jericho out for a promo.
This was good.
No, hold on. Chris Jericho was awesome.
Yes.
Here, okay? He had Hoovie's mask, Iakea's sarong, the knee of Rey Mysterio, his Dean Malenko poster. He's just on fire. I'm thinking, man, what a great segment. It really hit me. Well, it's so obvious why he left. He went to WWF because they weren't doing a goddamn thing with him and he was so talented.
Yeah.
But you know what? They found a way to fuck this up. God bless him, but his name is Joe Malenko. Can someone explain to me what Joe Malenko said? I couldn't understand Kevin Nash. I really couldn't understand Joe Malenko.
Dean Malenko's charisma eclipsed
Yeah.
that of Joe.
Dean Malenko was Ric Flair next to poor Joe Malenko. What the fuck did he say about the Energizer Bunny?
Joe comes out. Jericho says he has no problem with Joe, calls him Shooter. Joe calls Jericho the Energizer Bunny of poor taste. Says Jericho is That's what he said.
What are you looking at me for? I have no clue.
He said Jericho had disrespected the entire family. Back in his day, retired wrestlers got respect from younger guys. Jericho said this is all a misunderstanding. He had nothing against the Malenkos. Offered to let Joe take the portrait of Dean and leave. And he jumped Joe from behind and broke the portrait over his head, and nobody cared.
Dude, he hit him with the leg of Rey Mysterio.
Yes.
I wrote here, Jericho hits him with the leg and goes to work. And no sooner do I write that than he just stopped hitting him. And Joe just kind of regained his composure. And then they went to commercial.
He beat him so badly with a mannequin leg and a piece of plexiglass.
This segment, this show. And do you think it got better when Glacier appeared?
Absolutely not.
Let's talk about Glacier.
Let me talk about Glacier's promo and then the match.
Oh, the promo.
I want to talk about this separately.
Well, we're gonna. Because they're two very separate things.
They are. So Glacier has pre-recorded comments from earlier this afternoon. And Glacier says, I debuted with a lot of hype. And I lived up to that hype. And
Hold on. Is this Southern? Is that what you're doing?
I'm trying
This
to
is
do
Bullet
terrible.
Bob.
That's the same thing. All right, I'll stop. Clearly it's throwing you off your game.
It's very much throwing me off the game.
No, please
here.
continue.
So he says he's lived up to the hype of his debut. And best of all, he invented the cryonic kick.
Right.
Yeah.
The super kick.
Now there were imitators ripping off his move. But it was his move. And if you used it, he was going to take you out.
He ends this promo. Let me just recap very quickly. One of the wrestlers came on TV and said, I've got a move. It's my move. You fuckers who are using my move, I'm going to take you out. The wrestler said this.
Yeah.
They go back to the announcers and they bury this guy.
Yes, they should.
It's a sidekick. Everybody does
People
it.
doing sidekicks for 20 years, dude.
I was like, oh my God. I didn't think it could get worse. I was wrong.
Yes, you were.
Now, Brian, as you will recall...
Would I rather watch Raw 3 times and watch this segment again? Yes. Did you have another question?
When we began this show, you and I disagreed about which of these shows was worse. I said Raw was worse, and I made my case. You said Nitro was worse. We're in the middle of the case now. As someone who still believes Raw was worse, I will concede this match was so much worse than anything on Raw.
Thank you.
This was so much worse than that Hawk match that had me throwing things. Between this match, between the Hawk match and a couple others on Raw, and between the Wrestling Classic, do you realize how much terrible wrestling we've watched in like the past 5 days?
I'm quite aware of it.
I don't think I've ever seen
You haven't even watched Raw yet.
so many negative star matches from so many different shows in such a short period of time.
Just you wait.
Sick Boy. He may have surpassed Vladimir Pietrov as the worst wrestler I've ever seen as far as being allegedly a name guy. Does he know? Did anyone clue him in that when you were in the corner and the opponent is throwing his fists and feet at you to simulate kicks and punches, you should pretend they hurt or acknowledge them at all? He just is there.
Well, I don't think they worked on a lot of selling there at the power plant.
So at some point, he got himself, as best I can tell, stuck upside down on the ropes. He comes down. Glacier throws a kick. It misses
Badly.
by feet. Sick Boy sells it anyway. And in the process, tackles the ref and takes him down. Meanwhile, Glacier says, oh shit, I missed that kick. I better throw it again. This time he kicks him as hard as he can in the back after Sick Boy's already started to go down.
And hit him.
So, Glacier hits his cryonic kick. He makes a cover. There is no ref. The ref is down. Saturn hits the ring. Super kicks Glacier, puts Sick Boy on top, and leaves. The ref turns to count 1.
Hold on. The ref, you say? You mean Nick Patrick?
Yep. Nicholas Patrick, yes.
Are you telling me, or are you about to tell me, that he totally fucks up?
Somebody fucked up. I'm not sure who.
Yeah,
It may have been him. I can't say it was him or not.
Well, all I know is he counted the pin even though the guy kicked out.
it's true.
And then the guy rang the bell.
Who shouldn't have?
And then they went to the finish, and he counted the pin again, and the guy rang the bell again.
Right.
Yes.
And just for the record, Saturn's cryonic kick, way better than Glacier's.
Yeah. Legitimately one of the very worst matches I've ever seen. Worse than anything on that horrible Raw I just reviewed. Worse than anything we've seen so far on the Wrestling Classic.
Why did the timekeeper ring the bell,
Because the referee counted the pin.
but the ref didn't signal for
It
the bell?
doesn't matter. It's Pavlovian. You see the guy hit the fucking mat 3 times, you ring the bell.
But the guy kicked out.
It doesn't matter. Nick Patrick hit the mat 3 times.
There was incompetency all through this match.
This sucked so bad.
It was horrible.
This show was the worst show on this particular Monday night.
Lex Luger comes out for a promo.
Now, I will say the next 2 segments were good.
Yes, sir.
Lex cut a very, very good babyface promo.
He says, I just watched my buddy Rick Steiner go into surgery this afternoon. I'm disgusted at Scott Steiner. I'm disgusted at Brian Adams for their attack on this man last week. I've wrestled top guys. I've wrestled bottom guys. I've wrestled everyone in between, and I never complain. But I'm demanding a match right now. At Slamboree, I want Scott Steiner, or I want Brian Adams, or I want them both. And he left.
It was great.
It was great.
Now, let me tell you how bad this show was and why it was much worse than Raw. On a wrestling show, they build in advance a match between 2 men with consequences. They proceeded to deliver that match with a clean finish on a wrestling show. And I was gobsmacked. I could not believe that Booker and Benoit got 6 minutes with a clean finish. I couldn't believe it. That's how bad this show has fallen.
All I know is Benoit took 80% of this match and then won clean with his finish.
Yeah.
What a ass-kicking Booker T took here.
Can you imagine? Now he's going to get a championship match.
Yeah.
Wow.
Fair enough.
I couldn't believe I was watching Nitro all of a
Great
sudden.
match.
It was great.
I know this is news. This is a great match. Best thing we watched on this particular Monday night, for sure.
And then back to reality,
Back to reality.
where Michael Buffer, maybe this is what sent me over the edge.
That it set me off.
Michael Buffer, this fucking gimmick. He claimed that we may have just witnessed the greatest WCW Monday Nitro in history.
Where does he live?
Vinny.
Point me to his house.
No.
Yeah, he said that. And as I was going off on him for that, he then said, as Hulk Hogan's coming to the ring, he says, "This is the man who believes that when you're NWO for ever." For life was too much for this idiot to keep track of.
This is awesome. He's so great.
So they're doing this match. It's slow. It's two beat-up old men having a wrestling match.
Because who could possibly care?
Then it occurs to me, this is the go-home segment to the go-home show for Slamboree. I have no idea what the main event is. None. And I'm going through, is Outsiders versus Sting and Giant main event? Is Paige and Raven in the cage the main event? Is Hogan have a title match I don't know about? So Hogan misses the big leg.
He reminded me.
Yeah, thank
Go
God they
ahead.
wrapped it up.
Savage goes up top. Disciple shoves him down. Bret Hart drills Savage with the belt. Then I remembered Bret's wrestling Savage. Maybe that's the main event.
Mm-hmm.
So Hogan gets the pin. Nash runs down. He has cleaned the spray paint off his back.
Sprinting to the ring.
Can't sell the spray paint for an hour. Nash sprints down. Piper's there all of a sudden. Roddy Piper. He declares, no, I will not let that pinfall stand. Randy Savage is the winner via DQ. Then he says, I will be the special ref for the Bret Hart-Randy Savage match.
Where the hell was this idiot for the rest of this show?
Was he running late? I mean, is he technically the commissioner?
Something.
You're asking us?
They
don't
watch
know.
it just as much as I do.
I don't know what's going on.
So let's see. He lets both of them know that as the referee, he will not be enforcing the rules. Sounds like a great ref.
He just rambled. He's talking about the A&E special.
What the hell was that about?
It was
Secrets
the
of Wrestling?
of Pro Wrestling revealed. Yeah.
Did that come out about this time?
And he
Okay.
brings it up and he goes, I was brought up in the old school. So you're a shooter.
Yeah, then why bring it
Okay.
up?
Yeah, why'd you bring this up, you moron?
Dumb.
And then I'm hating the show like I never hated a show before. And they cut in the middle of this. There's just people everywhere. The Giant's there. Piper, Hogan, Savage, Nash, bodies. I could not take anymore. Like, it's got to end right now. But no, they cut to a
There's
shot of Sting in the rafters.
Yep.
Standing there.
Standing there.
He was supposed to tag.
in the rafters.
He was supposed to tag with a Giant.
That's what they said. They said he and the Giant were going to team together to challenge for the WCW Tag Team titles. I had 1,000 thoughts all at once. My first thought was, what? Since when? Did they build this up? Have I completely forgotten this?
They've announced it on prior
Yeah,
shows.
it was on. They announced.
Did they shoot an angle?
No.
Did they do anything to build
Scott
this
Hall
match
has
up?
haven't seen in months. They've talked to each other.
Sting is up there, and he's looking down with disappointment.
Yes.
I'm just like,
As were we.
this fucking guy has been absolutely slaughtered. He has been eviscerated. He has been
Emasculated.
castrated and
Yes.
emasculated. And they fucked him over again with this angle. Because they had to turn the Giant. And you know who looks like an absolute fucking idiot is Sting. Again.
Yep.
The guy sitting in the rafters by himself looks like an idiot. Good to know.
This show sucks. This show sucked. It was way worse than Raw.
No.
I stand by that till my
Neither of us is willing to deal with this
dying
debate.
day.
Vinny has found a
God,
hill
this
to
was
die on.
terrible.
I am dying on this hill. It's better than watching the show. I'd rather
You know
die on a
what?
hill.
We agree, so you lose.
Now, before we go, I did look up. Here is the spoiler-free card for Slamboree, bottom to the top. Finlay versus Benoit in the opener.
In the opener.
Luger versus Steiner or Adams. The Cruiserweight Battle Royal with the winner getting a shot at Jericho's title on that show.
Forgot about that. We didn't even mention that. Jericho's in the ring, and JJ comes out, and he goes,
You were so obsessed with Joe Malenko.
yeah. Jericho goes, I'm going to retire this Cruiserweight title because I got no challengers. And JJ comes out and says, well, funny you should mention that. At Slamboree this Sunday, we are going to do a 15-man Cruiserweight Battle Royal. And the winner of this match is going to face you for that Cruiserweight title on the pay-per-view Sunday. And at first, Jericho is appalled. He can't believe it. But then he pauses and he goes, so you're telling me that 15 men are going to beat the shit out of each other, and then the man who survives, I get to wrestle the same night? Great!
So I like those odds, he
He's
says.
so excited. I'm like, he's the heel. JJ's a babyface.
Yes.
The heel's pointing out how stupid the babyface's decision was,
Yeah.
and how one-sided in his favor it is.
Yeah.
This show is so fucking horrible.
So that was the third match in the show, the Cruiserweight Battle Royal and the title shot. DDP and Raven in the Bowery Death match. Bonus match, Eddie Guerrero versus Ultimo Dragon. Another bonus match, Goldberg and Saturn. Savage and Hart. And, in the main event, Sting and the Giant versus the Outsiders. That happened.
I hate
That was an actual show.
I hate this promotion. I hope they go out
I
of
will
business.
say this. If you look at that card and it makes you think less of this Nitro, that's fair.
There you go, everybody. Let's start with Nitro.
Start with Nitro?
Yep, we're switching it around this week.
The one week I don't ask what we should do first, and you switch it on me.
Yep.
Nitro number 140, May 18th. Due to the NBA playoffs, as we discussed, a 1 hour show. And they still struggle to fill that hour.
Oh, my God.
So they open with clips of the main event, or I should say pictures of the main event of Slamboree, because it was still very confusing. But apparently Scott Hall turned on Kevin Nash. This cost his team the main event, which means Sting and the Giant, two guys who don't like each other, are now tag team champions.
I mentioned this before, but back then you would buy the shows on pay-per-view on Sunday or Saturday, and then they would do a replay on Tuesday after Nitro. And so they didn't want to show you anything from the pay-per-view because they hoped that they could compel you to buy the pay-per-view if you hadn't done so. That is one thing that is way better about wrestling today.
Yeah.
Tony Schiavone is trying to explain what in the fuck happened in that Randy Savage Bret Hart match. I have no idea what happened. He was struggling so hard. All he would do is show a couple of photographs. I was like, I actually missed the opening Raw segment where they recap everything that happened in the big matches at pay-per-views. I still don't know what happened.
Then we had an amazing in-ring segment. I've been watching 30 plus years of pro wrestling now and lived through the 2016 U.S. presidential election. I don't know if I've ever seen blatant ego stroking like what we had here.
This fucking dude has lost his mind.
Eric Bischoff said, you know what? I should cut a promo about Vince McMahon being too scared to fight me. But I should cut this promo on a motorbike. But I should cut this promo on a motorbike in a crown. But I should cut this promo on a motorbike wearing a crown in the ring.
Yeah.
Therefore,
You missed something. I should cut this promo on a motorbike in a crown in a ring where the motorcycle was lowered from the ceiling
as I was about to get to.
with chains.
Yes, because you see, they didn't have a ramp to drive the motorcycle into the ring, or they would have had to obviously take the ropes down. It was too big a deal. So Bischoff said, hey, crew, just so I can cut a promo, put this damn bike on chains, cart it over above the ring, lower it in the ring, so I can sit on it and talk for 2 minutes, and then I'll leave and you lift it back up. He couldn't do this on a bike on the ramp, or in the aisle, or on the stage. Had to be on a bike in the ring.
Not only that, you do realize that they probably could have taken the bottom rope off before the show started, put the goddamn bike in there,
Oh, no.
and then I would bet you that if you had 5 strong men in the ring and 5 strong men on the ground, you could get the bike out of the ring pretty quickly during a commercial break. But they spent the money to lower this fucking motorcycle from the ceiling so this jackass could sit on it in a fucking crown.
Yeah.
Which, by the way, he took off immediately because the show started and he suddenly realized, I'm wearing a fucking crown.
I look
I
ridiculous.
look like an idiot.
Yeah.
Threw it off and then did just the most bullshit promo. You know when you make a mistake?
Yes.
Okay. I've made a couple. So I got two options. You can just move on, or you can just keep fucking going. That was what he did with this Vince McMahon thing.
Yes, he did.
He had legal letters. Did that stop this fucking guy? No, at the pay-per-view, he had a match with an imaginary Vince McMahon. Much like years later, Vince had a match with God. He had a match with an imaginary Vince McMahon where the imaginary invisible Vince McMahon was counted out of the ring. And you could only imagine how awesome that segment was. And then he just kept going on Nitro. He's lost it.
He's a megalomaniac.
So the point of his promo was, in the past 100 weeks, his TV record was 98-2. Because it's all about ratings. Claimed a win over Vince McMahon the night before. Everyone booed, and I honestly don't know if they were booing Eric or Bischoff. Maybe both.
Eric or Bischoff?
Eric or Vince.
Yeah.
Excuse me.
They actually were booing him.
Yeah.
When he said that he defeated Vince McMahon, they booed.
Yeah.
That's how much they hate this company, even though they showed up.
And that was it. He left. Now, the one thing we didn't mention about all this was, this is the first in-ring segment the night after a pay-per-view. Therefore, to a fan, it appears this is the most important thing that happened at the pay-per-view was another guy not being there.
Right.
Just self-flating. Just putting himself over to the epic degree.
On a show that was only an hour long.
Oh, yes, thank you. Where time was precious.
That is the biggest thing here.
Yeah.
You had 1 hour this week. You had 48 minutes. And you wasted your time with this epic bullshit.
3 matches, and we had to get this too.
Had a clip from Thunder of Saturn cutting a promo.
This was
His
awesome.
content was great. He called Glacier, first he called him Snowman. Then he called him a fake ninja from a video game, who said he owned a basic sidekick that you could learn in any karate class. He said he liked doing the sidekick. He learned it in many years of karate. He was going to keep doing it, and if you thought you could stop him, he dared you to come try and stop him. Content was great. His delivery was terrible.
Oh, come on.
It was bad.
What do you want Saturn to sound like?
I don't know.
He's a lunkhead. It was awesome.
Perry, if you're listening, that was Brian Alvarez.
Sure. That was his character. I didn't say Perry Satullo's a lunkhead.
So as they're going to the next match, they're talking about this whole Saturn Glacier chronic kick angle. And Tony Schiavone says that Saturn had attacked Glacier last week with a sidekick that, quote,
Yes.
literally knocked the head off of Glacier.
It's what he
Literally.
said.
You'd think I'd remember that. My memory's not great, but that seems like something that would stick out to me. So we had Saturn versus Psychosis. Had a short, basic opener, but it was fun. Saturn hit about the greatest dragon suplex I ever saw. Then followed with a super kick, a DVD, and the Rings of Saturn for the win. Nice, good, decisive finish. They didn't have 8 million counters and 2 million near falls. Just, they do a match, and then one guy just fucking wins.
Brutal DVD by Saturn, too. Dropped him right on his head.
Again, we had pictures of a match with Slamboree. As my notes here read, very confusing.
You don't say.
All I know is it was Bret Hart versus Randy Savage, and Elizabeth got involved, and Hogan got involved, and a foreign object got involved, and Bret won with a sharpshooter.
Basically, yeah.
So Mean Gene brings Roddy Piper out for a promo. Piper says being a ref is the worst job in the world. He'd never do it again.
He would not referee again for all the tea in China.
That's what he said. Did you know he's old
Did you know he's nuts?
and nuts?
Dude, this was 19 years ago. He wasn't that old.
Well, we'll get to that.
He
here
was in his
shortly.
early 40s.
I looked it up, so we'll get to it. He calls out Savage, who comes out, and the announcers are talking about Piper. Bret Hart hit Roddy Piper from behind. Piper thinks Savage hit him. Then one of them asks, hasn't he seen the footage by now? It's
No,
been
they don't-
24
No,
hours.
there's only
They
photographs.
only have pictures.
No one's,
They don't have any fucking tape.
no one's smartened it up. But it
No.
turns out Piper was smarter than the announcers. Turns out he had watched the film. He says he never apologizes for anything. So he's not apologizing here. But he had watched the film, and he realized as a referee he missed Hogan's interference. He missed Brett hitting him in the head. As commissioner, he is now deeming Savage the winner by DQ.
I just love this pro wrestling thing where a real man doesn't apologize. Like, even if he is admitting that he fucked up, he can't apologize. Admittedly, I messed everything up, but I will not apologize because I don't. And he's a babyface.
Yes. So he declares Savage the winner by DQ. Out comes Bret Hart, the last wrestler to ever care about wins and losses, to say, no, you're not putting a loss on my record right now. It was that important to him. Savage challenges him to a match. Bret says...
I think Piper signed a rematch, but everybody was yelling, so it was not clear.
Savage challenged him to a match. Bret said, I'll fight you both right now. Hogan literally, and I do mean literally, runs in to stop Bret from doing this. He says, instead of doing this fight right now, let's you and me team up against Savage and Piper, and we'll do it June 14th at the Great American Bash. And Piper says, forget the bash, let's do it right now. And Bret's willing to fight, of course, but Hogan pushes him back, and then Hogan turns and pretends like he's ready to fight, but Bischoff holds him back. That was awesome. That was great. So that's it. The pay-per-view main event. 4 men in a tag team match with a combined age in 1998 of 176. He showed from the pay-per-view, Dean Malenko returned.
Can I cut to Gene? For those wondering, by the way, yes, Dean returned. He was dressed as Cyclope. He won the Battle Royal, and he beat Jericho. They go to Gene. He's with Dean backstage. Gene says, you know, Dean, the last time I saw you, I called you a bona fide loser. Doesn't apologize. We do not apologize in this company. But he does congratulate him on his win. And Dean Malenko, who literally walked out of this company because Mean Gene had called him a bona fide loser, he says, it's all water under the bridge.
Yeah. Dean doesn't care.
It's all water under the bridge.
Did Stephanie McMahon write Dean's promo here?
She must have.
Well, he's a man that shows no emotion, so therefore it probably didn't affect him.
I suppose.
Well, clearly he did. He walked out of the company for 2 months.
And he returned because Jericho insulted his family.
Yeah.
He was sure to mention he never missed an episode of Nitro or Thunder. He saw Jericho run down
What
Rey
a glutton for
Mysterio.
punishment.
He saw Jericho run down Juventud Guerrera, all the others, but he ran down the Great Malenko, and that was too much for Dean to take.
By the way, they showed Dean here in the Cyclope outfit from Slamboree.
Yeah, for those of you who don't know,
It was after the pay-per-view.
Okay.
I just recapped this. He was Cyclope, and he won the Battle Royal.
I know,
Yeah,
but he
at
was
the
in
pay-per-view.
He was in. This was stuff from the pay-per-view.
Yes.
They also showed Jericho throwing a fit
Yes.
from the pay-per-view, not still photos.
Yes.
Okay.
Yeah. Juventud Guerrera versus Damien. There was something awesome in this match, and I may be the only person in the world who noticed. They're doing this opening spot early. Just hitting the ropes a couple times, and Hoovy comes off the ropes, and Damien leapfrogs him. He leapfrogs him, and he lands, and he's so happy to have jumped over this human that he thrusts both fists in the air and says, yeah! And he forgets that person is still running, and Hoovy hits the ropes and comes up and hits him from behind. I laughed, and I laughed, and I laughed, and I laughed. The announcers didn't mention it. No one in the crowd seemed to care. I thought it was great.
This was better than the Headbangers Kai and Tai leapfrog that we'll get to in a minute.
Fucking
I was
bitch.
telling Craig before the show. I watched that show Saturday night and I've forgotten everything. So, let's see. They're having a fun back and forth match, and as I wrote here in the middle of it, they hit all their spots. Foolish me. First of all, Damien kicks out of the Hoovy driver. Why? I don't know. So Hoovy goes for a 450. He under-rotates. He comes down knees first on Damien's chest. Damien is in agony now. Hoovy's not sure what to do. Everyone kind of looks at each other. And then Hoovy hits an elbow smash and pins him.
An elbow. Now listen, I remember years ago, I was watching one of my matches back, and I was doing a comeback, and I made a cover after every single move.
Yes.
You don't need to make a cover after every single move. Like, you should make covers because you're trying to win.
Sure.
But in this example, he hit that damn Hoovy driver. He should have just gone right up top for the 450. The guy kicking out of the Hoovy driver and then just having to keep laying there while he went up to the top, it killed the flow of this match.
I remember trying to teach you this. I tried to tell you this over and over. You make too many covers in your comebacks. Everyone knows the guy's going to kick out. You're killing your own momentum.
How dare you? Vinny never told me this. Now,
you
what
never
I
listened.
never did was when I missed a move so badly that was the finish, do an elbow.
That's true.
This fucking guy couldn't lift him up for another Hoovy driver.
To be fair, Damien might have had cracked ribs.
So just pin him.
Exactly.
You can't. It looked,
Exactly.
He came down with all his weight on his knees, which are bony, Craig,
I understand.
on the man's chest. So then we had an.
It was good until then.
Yes,
Right.
yes. Then we had an only in WCW moment. Shivani tries to throw it to Gene Okerlund. And he keeps saying, let's go to Gene. Gene Okerlund in the ring. It's time to go to Gene. And meanwhile, Heenan just says, oh, Shivani, you're so off base. Tenay is saying Tony is wrong. Then they cut to a wide shot of the ring. Sure enough, Gene Okerlund is in the middle of the ring, and Glacier is stepping through the ropes. And then Goldberg's music starts. Because no one knew what the hell was going on here. So it turned into Goldberg versus Glacier.
There was a moment on the show where, might have been right after that, but Bobby says something, a little snide, and Tony says, shut up, Bobby. And there's a pause, and Bobby goes, you shut up. And Tenay's like, let's call the action. It's like, this ship has hit the iceberg. It's going to take on water now for 3 years or whatever it is. It's a sad state of affairs. Except for this match. This match was not a sad state of
This
affairs.
was amazing.
For about the 83rd week in a row, I believe Goldberg is the best match on Nitro.
Somehow he won like 12 matches in 1 week.
No, this was real still. Whatever
about that?
whatever the number is,
It was 80-something
house
last week.
shows and everything. This was real.
Okay.
Now,
I think they broke 100 was when they started going haywire.
yeah, I can't remember when they started bullshitting, but Goldberg is in the ring and some fucking geek in the crowd. And if you're listening right now, I stand by that. You're a fucking geek. Holds up a sign that just says, Goldberg, same 2 moves.
Saw that.
And I'm like, you don't get wrestling.
No.
The fucker guy, he has 2 moves.
And they're awesome.
And he's the most over guy on the roster. Because this ain't about having 1,000 moves. I'm fucking fuming. And then Goldberg starts doing about 10 new moves.
That's the funny thing.
It's like, oh, well.
As Bruce Lee once said, I do
was-
not fear the man who has practiced 10,000 kicks. I fear the man who has practiced one kick 10,000 times.
Yeah, like Glacier. That side kick.
He still doesn't get it right.
No. So Goldberg, of course, has his own MMA training, and Glacier's whole gimmick is that he's a karate guy. So every kick or punch or elbow that Glacier throws, Goldberg just blocks or checks or catches every single one of them. And then they had a great idea on paper for this finish. Finally, Glacier hits one kick to the face. It's just like a big boot to the face, and you all need to see this just because you've never seen Goldberg take a bump like this before. He gets kicked in the face. He jumps as high as he can. He throws his arms high in the air. His legs go flying in either direction. It's like a cartoon the way Goldberg flies backwards. Glacier also goes down on the kick. And their plan was Glacier will kip up, but Goldberg will roll backwards through to his feet and fire out with a spear and kill him. That was the idea on paper.
I actually think, based on the way Goldberg started this backward roll, I think they were both supposed to kip up. But I think Goldberg's momentum was weird, and so he rolled backwards instead.
That's possible too.
Yeah.
Regardless, neither guy pulled it off. They both scooted up. And then you know what? Goldberg wiped him out with a spear, and it didn't matter. Everyone went nuts anyway.
You know, I don't like to see anybody hurt. But I was a little bit sad that Goldberg had improved enough that when he saw that the guy didn't make it all the way up with the kip up, he paused and let him get to his feet and then speared him.
Yes.
I was, in my mind, I saw Glacier not make it all the way up and Goldberg fucking run him over anyway. That's what I envisioned.
So Goldberg hit the longest jackhammer of all time, holding him high in the air with one arm, and pinned him. In hindsight, Are we really sure that Goldberg's not the best wrestler of all time?
He's
Because it sure seems that way now.
he is a delight.
He's a treat.
He's the MVP on this show for sure.
For months now.
Oh, yeah.
Mean Gene brings Dallas Page out for a promo. Page had won the Bowery death match against Raven. Now he challenges Hulk Hogan, and that's it. So I guess that Goldberg match was the main event in hindsight. So the NWO comes out for a promo. Hogan and his usual cronies. The black and white. I guess I need to clarify that now. Giant is out there with one of the tag belts. His partner is Sting. So the angle is he has invited Sting to join his group, and Sting has to make a decision. So first, Hogan talks about how great he is for a while. And he says, to prove I'm a better leader than Kevin Nash, here is Scott Hall, Nash's ex-best friend. And Hall comes out and doesn't do anything. And Bischoff calls out Sting. Sting walks down the ramp, or down the aisle. Giant goes to meet him halfway up the aisle. Sting spits in his face. The Giant turns and walks away. I don't want to alarm you, but the Giant runs him down and kills him. Just kills him dead. Dead, dead, dead. Ex-Sting lying here in the ring. And then Nash goes out with a pipe to make the save, and Giant backs off from Nash. Since Sting made his entrance at Starrcade, we are now at like 6 months of non-stop burial. They must have hated him. Just over and over every show.
Yep.
But I will never complain about an hour-long Nitro.
Why would you have Scott Hall gone for months and months?
He was in rehab.
I understand
He was
that.
really gone.
I understand that.
They couldn't bring him back.
But he comes back on his first Nitro and doesn't do anything and doesn't say anything.
Yeah, they were probably
Because they're
worried.
WCW.
Yes, he probably broke out of rehab. They're like, we got to keep an eye on this guy.
Should have brought in Rick Bogner.
No,
You know, in hindsight, I'm stunned they never did that, actually.
I'm not. He was horrible.
Well, I know, but...
We are at war.
So that was Raw. Now to Nitro, number 141. Also May 25th, 1998.
This show is a lot better, but they clearly have just too much time on their hands.
Yes.
There was
Well, from the get-go here.
9
Yes.
million Thunder recaps. They're trying to explain what's going on. I'm trying to keep up. I don't know what the fuck's going on with Bret Hart, Randy Savage, and Roddy Piper. I don't know what's going on. I can't figure it out.
Well, speaking of too much time on their hands, let's recap how this show began. I guess we're going to recap the whole show, but we'll start with the beginning. 4 minutes devoted to recapping Giant beating Sting up at the end of Nitro last week. Then we showed the Giant doing a promo on Thunder where he insisted he and Sting were still friends and still the NWO Tag Team Champions. Lex Luger came out to say, liar, liar, pants on fire, challenged him to a match. Giant invited him to join the NWO. Lex spat in his face and bailed. This left the Giant to kill a dozen luchadors who were just in the ring for whatever reason. Then we go to the main event of Thunder. And in the main event, fake Sting makes his return.
I could not even believe it. They're losing the war, and so they're just rewinding 2 years.
Yes. What did we do this time last year?
Fucking fake Sting is back? Are you kidding me?
So fake Sting attacks Lex with a DQ. The announcers, like morons, are fooled again. They showed all of this. Then they went to commercial. We are 8 minutes into the show, and literally nothing has happened. After the commercial, Raven and his Riot Squad come out for a promo. Raven says, Mortis, you have been sneak attacking me every week, but I can still be your guide. Saturn, you have been my best friend since childhood. I want you back by my side. I will fire the flock if it makes you happy. Turns to Lodi, you're fired. Kidman, you're fired. Horace, you're fired. He DDTs Lodi. Kidman and Horace just stand there. And Raven calls for Saturn. Did either of you have one clue what was going on here?
No, I have no idea what's going on half the
When
time.
did Saturn leave, Raven?
I presume it was a pay-per-view or Thunder, and they didn't bother to show a replay.
Why
They
does
had that match a couple weeks ago where the loser had to leave the flock.
Yeah, but they brought him back a week after.
Right.
Yeah, they brought him back.
Yeah.
So when do you leave?
Why does Saturn want the flock fired?
I don't think Saturn
great.
wants the
That's a
flock
great
fired.
question.
Raven fired the flock just to get Saturn. That's how he wanted to show him how willing he was to get him back. He'd fire everybody else if he would just return to him.
Glacier did a backstage interview about the fanfare and hype of his
I got
debut.
more to say about Raven. This is a very, very important key, which Vinny's going to learn about now that he's watching SmackDown every week. Raven was so much better than Bray Wyatt on the mic. I'm going to tell you why. Because
I've been saying that for the whole year.
But I'm going to tell you why.
Bray's on Raw, by the way.
Is he?
Yeah.
Who cares?
You're on a roll.
So anyway, so Raven cuts Bray Wyatt promos. When he's in the back, he'll sit there and he's brooding, and he'll do the bullshit promos where you have no idea what he's talking about, but he's got good delivery. The difference is, and Vinny's not watching Raw, so this goes right over his head, but when Bray Wyatt came out at the beginning of the show on Monday, Bray Wyatt had to talk about how he wanted to beat Brock Lesnar to become the champion. It was the same bullshit. I don't even think he ever said Brock Lesnar's name. It was The Beast and all of his usual goofy rigmarole. When Raven came out here for a very serious promo about his friend Saturn and firing these other shitheads around him, he didn't do the Bray Wyatt promo. He cut a very serious promo like a normal human being that was pissed off. That's why it was effective. That's the problem with Bray Wyatt. He's never real. He's always a character.
Speaks in riddles, and you have to decipher the riddles as he keeps talking. And
Yeah, do you ever really get mad, Bray? Like, do you ever really get mad? Like, when I get mad, I don't fucking talk in riddles. Either did Raven here. His friend left him. It made him very angry, and he came out of his goofy gimmick.
We had the Nitro Girls dancing. We had more clips from Thunder.
19 minutes and change before the first match actually got
Lower down, 1933. Plus commercials. But we're not there yet, Craig. You're jumping ahead.
Oh, I apologize. Yeah.
Chris Benoit trying to steal Booker T's interview time from Thunder.
Did you finish your talk about Glacier's promo?
No.
Did I? Should I go back? Do we need more detail?
No.
He invented a kick and he's mad other people are kicking guys.
No, this is the best part. So he claims he created the super kick, okay?
Yeah.
Which we've all determined this is ridiculous, okay? Now Glacier has added, I created the super kick, and since I created it, I can also destroy it.
Yes.
Which I've seen him throw it, and that is true.
He's claiming that he is going to destroy the super kick and remove it from professional wrestling. It's fucking
Man.
so stupid.
Thank God that didn't work out, because what would the Young Bucks do?
Well, I mean, it's clear he's losing this feud. That's what I got out of this.
The Young Bucks owe a debt to Perry Saturn. That's right. I hadn't thought of that.
They do. They should put his face all over their tights.
To buy him a house.
So Benoit attacked Booker T, laid him out. Stevie Ray came out in a fly vest. That was awesome. Yelled at Booker for letting a punk like Benoit take him out like this. It wouldn't last a minute in Harlem, he said. You need to stomp a mud hole in this guy. Booker agreed. And they announced that Benoit and Booker will be doing a best-of-7 series. Fit Finlay versus Mike Enos, 19 minutes and 33 seconds into the show. The announcers are talking about, the great thing about a best-of-7 series, it's the best way to determine a winner. Now we'll really know who's the top guy. Well, if that's the case, why don't you do best-of-7 series for all title matches? Or all matches, for that matter. The crowd was absurdly into Mike Enos' offense. Or they were excited about the beach ball going around. I'm not sure.
Thinking it was a beach ball.
So let's see. Enos is running wild. He goes for some kind of power slam, and I don't know what happened.
No idea.
I think he hurt his leg on the lift and was trying to protect it, but what happened was he fell to his back with Finlay on top of his leg. That's bad.
He power slammed him onto his own leg.
Yes.
Don't do that.
It
No.
looked like he was going for one of Roddy's really cool backbreakers, but it looked really horrible.
It looked painful.
Yeah.
So Finlay said, his leg's hurt. I'll kick him in the leg a few times and tombstone him and pin him. And
Good
he did.
idea.
And it worked out. Before the injury, it was a very fun Mean Guy match. Mean Gene was plugging his hotline when he was interrupted by a fan's air horn, and I laughed my ass off. Glacier versus Saturn. Raven came out to watch.
They build this match up for weeks and weeks and weeks and weeks and weeks. It ain't even a top of the hour main event.
No.
It's just on the show.
There's a move on the line here, fellas.
The history of the super kick is at stake. So Raven comes out to watch, and then the guys in the ring had a fun match while they could.
Can I talk about the end of this match, how just fucked up this company is?
Can I stop you?
No. So Raven comes out, and he grabs Hammer's ankle as Hammer jumps up on the apron. Saturn super kicks Hammer. Raven's holding onto his legs, and they all fall in a fucking heap.
That happened, yeah.
Nobody knew what they were supposed to be doing here. Raven had one idea, Hammer had another idea, and Saturn had a third idea.
Glacier,
Hammer
but-
was trying to sell.
Hammer was there somewhere.
Yes.
Yeah, Hammer was
Glacier
trying.
kicked him.
Hammer was trying to sell the super kick, but Raven had a hold of him.
Yeah.
So his only alternative was to take a flat back bump.
Yeah.
off
Onto
the
Raven.
apron.
He didn't want to do this because he's not an idiot.
And he lands on Raven there in a heap, and Raven's just looking at him. And I'm like, well, you're part of this problem, dude. Why were you holding his ankles? You were going to yank him off the apron? Well, why did Saturn super kick the guy then? Or Glacier, whoever the fuck super kicked
He
him.
couldn't have taken the bump to the outside of the apron.
This was dumb.
Yes.
And then Saturn nearly killed
Saturn had the most terrifying DVD I ever saw.
He was worked into a shoot about this whole super kick thing. He tried to kill
I'm going to
Glacier.
save this match in one move.
I'm not losing this
If
move.
Glacier walks again, that's not my concern.
We can't have the business lose the super kick. I'm going to drop this guy in his noggin.
They didn't even win with a super kick.
No, he DVD'd him onto his brain.
Yes.
Killed him. This was a mess.
Giant came out for a promo, flanked by Bryan Adams and Vincent.
So Hogan was not at the show. He was doing a movie. And they decided if Hogan's not there, we won't have Eric there. And so this was the NWO Black and White.
All three guys?
Giant, Vincent, and Bryan Adams.
Wow.
Well, one out of three.
Giant, Vincent, and Bryan Adams.
Yeah. So Giant calls out Kevin Nash.
I was so happy to not see Bischoff, but then I saw these three. I was like, wow,
That's the worst summer tour ever.
that's hideous.
Bryan Adams, Vincent, and the Giant.
So Nash comes out. He's going to take care of Hogan's fluff boys, he calls
It's three fluff boys.
them. Yes.
Yeah. That's rude.
Now, this is stupid on Nash's part because
Well, Larry said it was stupid. Shivani said it was brave. Larry was right.
he attacked three men, one of whom was much larger than him, and got his ass kicked. So, who should make the save but Conan and Lex Luger? People are going nuts. Hennig and Randy Savage are out there next. Nobody knows what Lex is doing out there, but the crowd's happy to see him. So the Wolfpack has a huddle. And they take the shirt off Conan, and they offer it to Lex. Lex ponders things for a minute, and then he puts the shirt on. And now Lex Luger's in the Wolfpack. Place is
goes
going nuts.
Crazy for this.
There were people jumping up and down.
Like, I know this isn't news, but in fact, it's been going on for weeks as we've reviewed it. But at this point in time in WCW, the heels were the NWO, the babyfaces were the Wolfpack, and the geeks were WCW.
Yeah, that was like the announcers. I felt so bad for them because they were stuck having to support WCW. And technically, the Wolfpack is a babyface faction.
Absolutely.
So they have to pretend like they don't want Luger to join the NWO, like they're shocked.
yeah.
But the fans all want it, and so the announcers are just left looking like geeks. They're geeks that are behind the geek brand right now. WCW is third in line between the NWO and, or between behind the NWO and the Wolfpack.
Yeah, that was my question. Why were the announcers so worried about this? Because the Wolfpack...
Because it's the NWO.
Yes, but the Wolfpack is opposed to the NWO.
Doesn't matter.
So
It's,
what's the old saying? The enemy of my friend is
no,
my enemy?
It
Is
doesn't
my
work
friend?
like that.
You're really
I
doing that
really
wrong.
screwed that up.
They're still the NWO. Like,
Right.
like they're the enemy that doesn't like another enemy faction, but they're still the enemy.
But they're fighting the same enemy.
They're still the NWO.
They're still determined to drive WCW out
Yeah.
of business.
But they're the cool NWO.
That's true.
It doesn't matter. They're the rivals. You think they're cool, but they're trying to destroy WCW.
I don't think they're cool.
I do. They're way cooler than fucking the Giant, Bryan Adams, and Vincent. Those guys aren't cool, Craig.
You're right. You are right.
Chris Jericho versus El Dandy. Much like the Cruiserweights on Raw, they had about 1 minute and crammed all they could into this 1 minute. Jericho won with a Boston Crab. Then cut a promo saying he was the victim of a conspiracy that had cost him the Cruiserweight belt. He demanded J.J. Dillon come out and hear what he had to say. And Jericho showed him a list. The first list of Jericho. I guess the second. Because the first one was a list of moves. The third one is the list. And the second is this list of the participants in the Cruiserweights Battle Royal. Points out Dean Malenko's name is not on this list. Therefore, he was not a valid participant in the Battle Royal. Therefore, the title win Malenko had over Jericho should be nullified, and the title should be returned to Jericho. Dylan didn't buy this. He said, "You agree to face the winner of a battle royal, whoever that might be, and the decision stands." He leaves, and Jericho throws a tantrum, calls Dylan an idiot, and then slightly regains his composure, chases Mr. Dylan down, begging him to return the belt. Please! They announced Nitro will be at the Georgia Dome on July 6th.
That's a big one.
Memorable show.
That's kind of a big deal.
Yeah.
God, that's coming up soon.
Conan versus La Parka. The most exciting thing in this match was Parka's mask falling apart, and at the very end, he had to hold it onto his head while he was running the ropes. Conan won with a cradle DDT and the Tequila Sunrise. He showed a video from Mortis, who had taken his mask off. He explained that on February 12th, Raven had DDT'd him onto a ramp or a stage or something, and that was the night Mortis died.
What's up, Craig?
Nothing.
And he returned and laid Raven out, and that was the night Canyon was born.
They couldn't even have done hair versus mask with this guy. He just had to take his mask off. This company could
hurt.
do anything right.
Yeah, DDT and his head hurt. He said he'd gotten a Raven several times. He was going to get him again, anytime, anywhere, as anyone. More from Thunder.
God, Thunder.
Randy Savage was in the ring. And if you've never seen the television show WCW Thursday Thunder, let me share with you the kind of wisdom you can hear on this show. I wrote this down word for word. Here was Randy Savage's promo. "You call yourself an icon. I don't even know what that word means. Is that a bird?
It's a pecan.
Like the dodo bird? An X?" And then he stops. An X. Because he's thinking of the word extinct, but he can't remember the second syllable. And so he says, "A species that doesn't exist anymore?" Well, I don't know what an icon is, but I know what the madness is. And if you've got the guts to be my tag team partner, then we can get it done, and whatever's whatever after that. Oh, yeah.
That was horrible.
It was awful.
Randy Savage, but
That was
a good recap.
That was a D+.
Now let me talk about this Piper promo here, and I'm not going to do a Randy Savage. You didn't like this? I'm going to tell you the good and the bad
Do a Piper voice.
and the ugly. So Roddy Piper comes out. It's his usual nonsense.
I have no idea what he's talking about.
He makes fun of Savage's hair, which is usually a no-no, but he's Roddy Piper. He does whatever he wants. So Savage hits the ring, and they go face-to-face. Now let me tell you something. Up until this point, this was not a very good show. But when Randy Savage came out, that's when this show totally turned around. They go face-to-face, and Savage, I gotta praise this Randy Savage fella, okay? Now, I don't know what the fuck he was talking about. I have no idea what he was talking about. But Randy Savage is a guy, kind of like Bret Hart, ironically, where Savage convinces himself that this shit's real. And Savage cut like the greatest promo on Roddy Piper. He was so good that the bullshit Roddy Piper nonsensical promo turned into Roddy cutting a great promo. They cut the best promo on each other. I don't know what they were talking about, but it was the best promo on each other. Their delivery was awesome. And then Bret came out, and then I was even more confused because Bret is trying to twist all of
a
this
great promo
around.
when you're confused.
Bret's trying to twist all of this around and blame something on Roddy Piper. I don't know what, but I do know that Bret believed it, and Roddy believed it, and Randy believed it. And so the whole segment was believable, even though I don't know what the hell they were talking about.
Brett came out and he was
What's happening?
He was accusing Piper of being in on the plan. Wink, wink, nudge, nudge.
What plan?
The one where he
That's
at the pay-per-view when
Brett got his win.
Yes.
Brett is saying, "Roddy, you and I conspired to screw Savage." And Savage, both on and off camera, is a paranoid motherfucker, so he'll believe any of this shit.
Sure. My problem is, as a viewer watching the show,
Yeah.
all I saw last week was 3 photographs from the match as
Yeah.
they tried to explain what the fuck happened. I don't know what happened.
Yeah. No, I'm with you.
Well, he reversed it. He reversed the decision last week, but Brett was still the winner there at the pay-per-view, and that's what Brett wanted.
I see.
I guess.
They could have done a better job recapping this.
You
They
like
could've.
this a lot more than I did.
It's a week later, they could have shown video.
That's true.
Hey, listen, if a promo is all about whether you understand it, then it sucked. If a promo is about the delivery, like everybody raves about Bray Wyatt promos, then it was great. How's that?
I did get a message at the end, which is they're still doing the tag match at the pay-per-view.
Right.
But after the tag match, whatever happens, Piper and Savage, who are teammates in the tag match, will then fight each other.
Maybe. Piper said, let's team. And when it's over, if you still want to fight,
I see.
then we'll fight.
I see.
He's trying to convince Savage that we'll do this tag match together. You'll see I'm on your side, and we'll be buddies. I got that part.
All right. Kidman versus Juventud Guerrera.
I hope someday in the future people don't watch Nitro and then go, hey, let's listen to the Brian and Vinny and Craig show so they can explain all of this to us.
No.
No, we got no idea what's
We
going
don't
on.
have no idea what's going on.
Well, I do know one thing.
It's a fucking mystery.
I know one thing. This match was awesome.
This match was
It's very good.
excellent.
This
Let
ruled.
me get my one criticism out of the way first. I only have one.
Okay.
It didn't need to go this long.
That's fair.
It went a little long, and it went long enough that they did 2 covers where the ref actually counted 3, but the guy lifted his shoulder up. And normally the fans would boo, but they were like so into this match that they accepted it, but it did kind of kill the crowd. And then they got him back a little bit at the end.
I have a nitpick. Kidman was doing this move this time, and it's not the first time this has happened, where he tries a power bomb, but the other guy flips it into a facebuster. The same counter Kidman would use 8,000 times in his career, but somehow this hurts the guy doing the facebuster. And I was confused. The crowd was confused. It briefly killed them, but they got them back into it because everything else about it was awesome. Both guys were on their game. Everything looked great, start to finish. Eventually, Hoovy caught him with a drop kick, hit the Hoovy driver and 450 splash for the win. Pretty sure this would have been the best match at Backlash.
Yeah, we've seen a lot of great technical matches by Chris Benoit beating the crap out of people, but I think this was the best match on Nitro of 98 so far.
It was really great.
On Nitro? What's been better?
Maybe Goldberg killing dudes.
Yeah, but that's not really a match. It's just fun.
That's just violence.
As far as like a fun, great wrestling match, this was the best one like all year, I think.
It is way up there.
Went 9.5 minutes, and I have to agree it was a little too long, but it was a very good match.
Yep. Nitro Party clips. It was all girls. And I mean, not women, girls.
Right.
Like 10 and 12-year-olds saying "too sweet" and dancing. I don't know if they do this anymore.
I'm skeptical they did it then.
Maybe this may have been the only occasion.
Their fathers put him up to it to get the Nitro girls at his house.
Spoken like a father.
Well,
They said Rick Steiner would be out several months after shoulder surgery. Then showed the angle from 3 weeks
How
ago.
old was Danielle in 98? I think Craig sent this video in.
that's untrue.
None of those girls from Danielle. Anyway, they showed the angle again where Scott Steiner and the NWO beat up Rick and hurt his shoulder. Eddie Guerrero comes out to wrestle.
She was 12, by the way.
Could have been.
That of the year.
Just did the math.
Could have been.
I'm bad at math. Unless it's on a tape measure, I don't do it.
Eddie Guerrero comes out to wrestle, but there's Chavo. And after months of being berated and bullied and abused by Eddie, now Chavo's got...
Stockholm
Is
Syndrome?
that what it is?
I guess.
He's believes that Eddie's in fact right about everything, and he deserves all the abuse Eddie gives out.
What I took away from it was he figured out Eddie's game, and now he's turning the game on him. So he doesn't actually believe it. He's just... I don't know why he's doing it.
So there, Chavo's talking about how great Eddie is. He doesn't need to wrestle this match. I'll wrestle it for you. Eddie insists this is my match, and he rears back for a slap. And rather than flinching or getting defensive, Chavo leans into it.
Yeah.
And Eddie is just baffled about what to do. Chavo's leading the crowd in chants of Eddie's name, and Eddie finally just gives up and says, just have the damn match. Chavo Guerrero Jr. versus Ultimo Dragon.
This was a great match.
It was pretty good.
It's all right.
I enjoyed Chavo asking Dragon to wait while he removed and neatly folded the Eddie Guerrero is my favorite wrestler t-shirt. So they're doing this match. Dragon's using all these cool submissions. Eddie's trying to interfere on Dragon's behalf. He's trying to help Dragon win, but it's not enough. Chavo escapes. He screams, "Eddie, I'm cheating to win." And he goes on to win clean, in fact, with a tornado DDT. Poor Ultimo Dragon, who gets beat even with Eddie Guerrero trying to help him. So he disappears. And then Mean Gene appears to interview Los Guerreros. Eddie says Chavo needs a shrink. And J.J. Dillon appears, and he announces Chavo versus Eddie for the Great American Bash.
Last thing Chavo needs is to shrink.
Jeez. Chavo was happy, Eddie was pissed. Dean Malenko versus Lenny Lane.
Oh, my God.
Lenny Lane sucks.
Lenny Lane is like trying so hard to be Chris Jericho. Now he's got some...
That's the amazing thing.
He's got some goofy ab gimmick that he's puts on himself.
Ab shine.
Same haircut. I'm
It-
like, man, I tried to be Shawn Michaels, but it was on the indies.
Yeah, you weren't on Raw with a broken heart on the ass of your trunks. No, Lenny Lane is on the same show as Chris Jericho, trying to be the same guy. He was the Buddy Landell of Nitro.
Basically, yeah.
Yeah, only Buddy Landell was much better. I know a lot of people get angry about that. Buddy Landell did not suck.
No.
He just wasn't Ric Flair. Anyway, Malenko and Lenny here, they tried, but it was the third hour of Nitro. No one cared about Dean Malenko and Lenny Lane.
Dude, normally I would agree with you, but it had nothing to do with the third hour because the next match was fucking Goldberg versus Johnny Attitude. And let me tell you something, they cared.
Well, it was also Goldberg.
My point is, it wasn't the third hour.
Dean wins with the cloverleaf.
Did you catch the joke where Heenan was talking about Lenny Lane's mother, Lois?
I did not catch that. Goldberg wrestled a human being who identified himself, a grown man, went on national TV and said, "My name is Johnny Attitude."
You know what was so funny about it?
No ring
This
music?
followed this. So Johnny Attitude was pretending he was Goldberg, following a Lenny Lane match.
It's true.
He did a much better job of
Oh yeah,
imitating
he
his
was
guy.
a way better Goldberg than Lenny Lane was Chris Jericho.
Johnny Attitude was at least a big, muscular, scary guy.
This is where Gilbert got his idea.
He was better than Gilbert, too. So, the two things that were referenced in every show in May of 98 were Viagra and Godzilla. Because the TriStar Godzilla movie had just came out, and the announcers on neither show could stop talking about it. So Attitude tried a spear. It failed. And Goldberg pressed him and dropped him and punched him and kneed him and speared him and jackhammered him and pinned him.
It was a delight.
That's number 90.
Adults were jumping up and down at this finish.
I was.
It was
I was
amazing.
jumping up and down watching this match.
Match 1 in the best of 7 series between Booker T and Chris Benoit.
Now I realize I just shot you down, but this was a good example of it was a third hour and the people were tired.
Yeah.
Good match, but
It was also a slow starting match. It took a long time for them to get warmed
there
up.
were a lot of chin locks.
Yeah.
Well, you know what it was this show was 3 hours with an overrun. And as always, the main event was just total bullshit and nothing happened. So these guys had to go out there and just had to stall for time.
Yes.
They said that this was the first match, and match number 2 would be on Thunder, and match number 3 would be on Saturday night.
You
of
can't
all
even say it with a
places.
straight face.
Saturday night was already taped. So this was technically
wow.
the second match.
Perfect. So, yeah. It was okay. They would do better. Benoit won with a crossface. Main event of Giant and Fake Sting versus Lex Luger and Sting.
I got one more thing to say about the Benoit match. It was a little creepy listening to Bobby Heenan talk about Chris Benoit and what he was like now and what he would be like in the future.
Yeah.
But I will say that Bobby Heenan was totally into this match. Bobby Heenan was so into this match. All Bobby Heenan wants is like some good wrestling.
Yeah.
Something that's good as he sits here on this show having to call all this bullshit. Man, he had something to talk about here. He was into it.
He was good at calling good wrestling. And also really good at calling bad wrestling, actually. Last weekend, I was doing some stuff, and I just put some primetime on the network. And I don't think I watched more than 2 minutes of it, but I was baking. I was making pie for Mother's Day. Point is, Bobby Heenan's on commentary, and there's a match between Powers and Roma and The Shadows. And it went like 15 minutes for Christ knows what reason. But
I couldn't find him.
well, that brings me to Mr. Heenan, who at one point when Powers and Roma are running wild and the Shadows bail, they have no idea what's going on, and Heenan says, Powers and Roma have these men totally confused. The Shadows are really in the dark. He was the best. I would
We
rather
need more teams like The Shadows.
do. I would rather talk about that than Giant and Fake Sting versus Lex Luger and Sting. Fake Sting got beat up. Lex and Sting worked totally fine together. They ping-ponged the Giant back and forth for a while. Eventually, Lex got cut off. So, Tony Schiavone outright said, winning and losing is not in the quotation here. I think he meant equation. But the point being, Even the announcer said, it doesn't matter who wins and loses this match. We just need to find out who is on whose side. So they get the heat on Lex for a minute or two, and Sting tags in, does a Stinger Splash and the reverse DDT and pins fake Sting. May have taken 12 seconds. So the Wolfpack comes out. Everyone else bails. Lex says hi to his new friends, and they all offer Sting a shirt. Fans are cheering and going nuts. They want Sting to leave WCW so badly. He appeals to the crowd. They all cheer more. And he gets in the ring and he stands there. He still is conflicted. And they throw him the shirt and he catches it and he's looking at it. And that's where the show ends.
You know,
Cliffhanger.
listen, I'm all for cliffhangers and everything like that. But this show opened. The show opened. And it was all about what's Sting going to do? What's Sting's decision going to be? Because they actually teased us when the show went off the air last week. So we tune in as fans this week, and the beginning of the show is all about what decision will Sting make. We sat through 3 hours and 10 minutes of Nitro. They have a fucking overrun, and they take us off the air before we find out whether or not he put the shirt on. I was like, get out of here. This was infuriating. Now, the answer, by the way, everybody, is he put the shirt on. Apparently, he got a monstrous Bafo pop.
I'm sure it did.
But no, we didn't get to see it. We've got to tune into Thunder, where they probably won't even show it. This show's sinking. I predict that by 2001, WCW's out of business.
Oh, come on.
Wow.
Yeah. I predict that even Ted
Brian,
Turner won't be able to
That's
save
bold.
it. It is bold.
bold.
You're acting like the sky has fallen.
I got a song.